Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hello, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we are discussing Deep Space Nine, Season 4, Episode 3, The Visitor. A reclusive, elderly Jake Sisko recounts the story of his life to a visitor and how he lost his father and his attempts to get him back.
So I was completely wrong that it can only get worse from Way of the Warrior.
Yeah, this one's a bit of a surprise.
A surprise in several ways. The way they told the story was unlike most episodes. They don't really clue you in the beginning. I mean, you see the picture of Jake and Sisko, but then you see this face that is not an actor that is on this show regularly, and this person is not on a space station. There's rain beating on windows. It really throws you off.
I think it's also surprising because it's a Jake episode, and even a couple seasons ago, that would have been almost a terrible idea by itself.
Yeah, I doubt anyone ever said, let's make a Jake episode in the writer's room in the first season.
No, but suddenly it works, and Cirque Lofton completely nails it.
Oh, he's so good in this. We definitely need to commend him. It's hard to pull that stuff off, and he handles it well. Those emotionally charged scenes, he doesn't overdo it. He sells it. They've done a great job building the Sisko and Jake relationship, and there has been warmth there. But also, my favorite scene, well, one of my favorite scenes in this episode, it's so difficult to choose, is between Kira and Jake. The low lighting scene and their edges are highlighted. It's beautifully shot and well acted. It's so good.
Oh, geez. This episode, obviously, I think this is the third time I've watched through Deep Space Nine. It's one of those ones where the more times you've seen it, the harder it hits.
I can imagine that.
I was just holding back the tears the whole time.
Yeah, if you told me one of these episodes would make me choked up, I wouldn't have believed you.
Especially not a Jake.
Yeah, if you said in the beginning, hey, by the way, there's a Jake-centered episode, and you will be nearly to tears.
It's not believable, but yet they somehow got here.
As is typical for me, I did imagine a terrible way for the story to go that would have ruined it.
Go on.
I kept thinking, well, so all this stuff would happen, and I would think, okay, this can't be canon. You can't have Sisko die and then Klingons take over Deep Space Nine, all this other stuff. So they have to undo it somehow. And I thought, oh, is this a story within a story? Is this Jake telling a fictionalized version of his life? And if he is, that is awful because it cheapens all of this.
Although he would have to be quite a good writer to pull that off.
Oh, he'd be an amazing writer.
Well, yeah, because this episode is well written.
At that age, to think of something like that?
Yeah, I think we can bet this episode was not written by a 15-year-old.
But the solution they did come up with was clever, and it does erase what we've seen, but it still has impact. It doesn't take away from that. It's not erased for Sisko. He lived through that.
But he was the one that actually remembered in the end.
I thought how awful if he was still too slow when he went back and he had to go through all of it again. Oh, man.
Well, it'd only been, I don't know, an hour or something in his time.
I thought, what if he tries to expedite it and he tries to convince young Jake the Younger, please just commit suicide, and then this will be corrected.
He tries to kill him himself.
As dark as that is, this episode was dark itself in its non-silly way that it was written.
Well, yeah, it's ostensibly about an old man committing suicide to erase his life from history and start a new life because of his continual failures to live up to his own expectations.
Oh man, and he lived with that, and it changed the course of his life, and he was obsessed with it. So much going on.
In a sense, there's not really much to say about this episode. It kind of speaks for itself. I only jotted down one criticism, which I knew I was going to write down in advance.
And what is it?
It's a sci-fi thing. Him dying shouldn't actually affect anything. Dying is not a physics thing.
Yeah, but it raises the stakes emotionally. So
Yeah.
I see why they did it.
Oh yeah, it's fine. Like, if that's the worst thing I can come up with, then they're fine. There's a couple bits of trivia I have as well.
Go ahead.
Straight from the wiki. The visitor, Melanie, is Andrew Robinson's daughter, so Garrick's daughter.
Oh, that's nice.
Yep.
She is not very Garrick-like.
No, she didn't double-cross anyone.
No mentions of tailoring.
Yeah, the weirdest thing about Garrick is that they don't actually put Kardashian makeup on Andrew Robinson. He just looks like that.
Saves so much time.
What was the other bit of trivia? Can't remember. Oh, no, I remember. The other super trivia fact is this is clearly inspired by J.D. Salinger, the author of Catcher in the Rye and a few other books and story collections, whose was notoriously reclusive, but randomly one day accepted an interview from a student reporter that just knocked on his door and asked.
I wasn't aware of that story, but that's totally what this is.
Oh, yeah, it was quite a famous, in literary terms, event, because he was absolutely reclusive, like not quite Thomas Pynchon levels, but kind of close, and he hadn't done an interview in over a decade, I think, and then this student reporter knocks on his door and says, "Can I have an interview?" And he says, "Yeah, all right." That was his final interview before his death, I think. But he didn't die that night, he died 30 years later. And he did not die to rescue his time-trapped father.
I was just about to ask.
Well, maybe he did. I'm not too familiar with J.D. Salinger's personal life.
He could have kept that under wraps.
Well, that's part of being a recluse, isn't it?
Yeah, he didn't want to ruin the mystique. I want to compliment the actor who played Jake the Older, as he has that same wide-eyed enthusiasm of young Jake, how he seems up for anything, and he had that in him as well.
The actor that played old Jake was Paul Rudd.
Is that seriously his name?
No.
Oh, okay.
His name is Tony Todd.
Good for Tony Todd. While I'm handing out compliments, I will also compliment the actor who plays Nog. He sounds different.
Aaron Eisenberg.
There we go.
I knew that one.
He sounds different, more sophisticated as the aged Nog. And that's good that he can pull that off. Still sounds distinctly like Nog, but older.
Yeah, he is a good actor. He's older than Cedric Lofton by quite a bit. So I think he's always been a stronger actor, but his character, certainly early on, was just a one-trick pony.
Yeah, he was limited in what he could do with that character.
Oh, completely. So anytime he gets more to work with, he usually is pretty good.
One thing that kind of slightly confused me, so when old Jake gets pulled into that white area with Cisco.
The Matrix.
Yes, the Matrix.
Yes.
The Matrix loading program. So did Cisco go there between each time hop? I don't understand. I thought it was instantaneous for him. So why was there that purgatory that one time?
I guess he did go there between jumps. It seems like it seems. Oh no, because you're right. Because he said not the last thing he could remember was being on the Defiant, not wandering around in a white zone. I guess it was the beams, fields, and zip zaps they were doing caused them to emerge in a construct of the Matrix.
Okay, I'll buy that. I should really learn the principal actors' names, but the actor for Bashir.
Do you want to say his full name?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, I'm just going to go look it up and then edit this out so it seems like I know it.
We should have that documented in the podcast.
Okay, I'm going to make a mess of this because I do not speak Arabic. He goes by the name Alexander Siddig now, but his birth name is Siddiq El Tahir El Fadil El Siddig Abdirrahman Mohammed Ahmed Abdul Karim El Mahdi.
Yes, him. He gets to trot out his old man Bashir impression again. Impression? I don't know what to call that.
He wasn't just pretending to be old in the story. He was actually old. I wanted to cross-reference old Bashir to the episode where he's trapped in his own mind and ages to see if he aged the same way.
He doesn't look the same.
He doesn't?
Well, not to me. I didn't cross-reference and have it directly in front of me, but according to my memory, he doesn't.
Yeah, he looked a bit more sprightly in this one.
Yeah, maybe he took better care of himself.
Sadly, Cole Meany was unavailable for this episode, so there was no old O'Brien.
Aww.
And I guess we found out that if the Klingons had taken DS9, then there would have been no more trouble from the Dominion.
So that's what they should do. No, they shouldn't.
Well, but that would be a good thing. They'd lose the Gamma
Not for us.
access, but... What? But the Klingons would usher in a new era of peace.
But we want conflict and tension.
By kicking the crap out of anything that came through the wormhole.
They are the best suited for guardians of a wormhole.
Yeah, if you came through the wormhole and saw the Klingon fleet from Way of the Warrior sitting there, you'd probably turn around and go back.
Yeah, you wouldn't think twice.
So that makes sense that once they've entrenched themselves there, peace occurred. There isn't a lot to say about this episode. I mean, I don't need to tell people that it's good. It's a frequent entry on people's top 10 Star Trek episodes.
Oh, I was going to ask, this has to be widely regarded as one of the best DS9 episodes.
Probably top 5, I would say.
Okay.
So there's not much to say in terms of, is it good? Yes, obviously. It's fantastically good.
Almost too good. Suspiciously good.
Are you suggesting they
I don't know.
stole the story from the future?
Yes, that's what I'm suggesting.
At the same time, there's not much to criticize, because if there were, it wouldn't be as good as it is. So I think this is probably the first episode that's met Season 1's duet in terms of quality, Which is weird that Duet is so far back.
That one is suspicious.
Yeah, that is. That should have been a season 4 episode.
Season 3 at the earliest.
They stole that story from the future.
I can believe that. It's in the middle of a mess of crap.
Pretty much. I mean, this one is great, but season 4 is already off to a really strong start, and there's more good stuff to follow, so it fits that they would get a bullseye when they're scoring high.
Right. If your average is higher, then you have a better chance of hitting the top. But then, how do you write Duet in season 1?
Yeah, I don't know. They were like 2 batters down, 14 strikes on the 17th inning. I don't know anything about baseball. And then they got a hole in one. Just like that. Cisco would probably have punched me in the face if he hit me.
Several times.
No, he would have a cutting remark.
You would know a baseball from a dartboard.
Imagine if baseball was played with darts.
Okay, imagining.
And now stop imagining that.
Okay, stopped.
Okay, now never tell anyone what you saw in your mind.
I'll make a prediction. They will at one point play baseball. Well, Cisco will, and it will be on screen.
He already has.
So, oh, wait. Oh, yeah, that was the premiere. Never mind.
Yeah, that happened in the first episode, so good prediction.
So I'm right.
Well, he might give it up and not play it again, in which case you'd be wrong, but it's a pretty safe bet. Here's a prediction for you. Odo will go,
We should do how long it will take. I bet he'll do it in the next episode.
in the
Within
teaser?
the first 10 minutes.
Okay, so before the first advert break.
Yeah.
Spoilers, Odo does not say Hrumph in the first 10 minutes of the next episode.
What a strange thing to add in a podcast about this episode.
We always struggle when the episodes are this quality.
Yeah, what can you say? Pick any scene. Yeah, it's a good scene. Probably 2 or 3 grown men and the viewers of the episode were crying. Everyone cried in this episode, I think, apart from Bashir and Nog. But
Well,
Nog
Bashir's dead inside.
Oh, yeah, sure, okay. Nog was pretty close, I think.
Old Man Jake cried 12 times or something. Poor guy.
Yeah, the actor had just... His mother had died, like 2 or 3 months before they filmed it. So a lot of his sadness was quite genuine.
So you're saying he cheated?
What are you suggesting?
He had someone murder his mother?
Oh,
so
gee,
that...
I'm cutting this.
Is it time for a quote? I think it is.
Let's have a quote.
I'm no writer, but if I were, it seems to me I'd want to poke my head up every once in a while and take a look around, see what's going on. It's life, Jake. You can miss it if you don't open your eyes.
And that's exactly what he did do.
And then he passed it on to someone whose memories will be wiped.
Well, I don't know if it'll split off into an alternate timeline or if Jake just erased that entire universe.
Does Star Trek must have a precedent for how they handle that sort of thing?
They kind of usually just say, oh, it's another timeline.
So it continues to exist.
I don't know if it really continues to exist or not. They just sort of hand-wavingly say, yeah, it is something else, not the main timeline. Who cares? Well, think of their disparaging attitude towards clones. And this is a clone of an entire universe, so they would hate it more than anything.
It's always about maintaining consistency in this one timeline that they've deemed the most important for some reason. For example, O'Brien is willing to die so that a version of himself can exist in the main timeline.
Yeah, but he's Starfleet. Jake isn't, and he was quite happy to undo history. Yeah, I think that quote you chose, it reminds me of an Isaac Asimov quote that's phrased in a similar way, but I can't remember exactly what that was.
Are you going to find it?
No.
Oh, okay.
There's a similarly phrased quote from the film Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but that has nothing to do with Isaac Asimov.
The quote is kind of funny because he's saying, I have no idea how to be a writer. Let me tell you how to be a writer. It's still good advice, but it's funny if you frame it that way.
Well, people will never hesitate to tell you how to do something that you know how to do a lot better than they do.
Unsolicited.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So another thing, something that actually does frustrate me about this one is there's a couple of instances where Jake is doing like well in the zone with writing, and they just like rip him away from it.
Oh yeah, he talks about how important it is to stay in the zone when it's happening, and then he leaves his desk to join his wife in the bedroom.
Yeah, okay, but fair enough.
So we have confirmation that Bajorans and humans can breed.
Do we?
Sisko was adamant that he wanted grandchildren, and Jake was with a Bajoran woman.
Oh, I didn't even know she was Bajoran because I am racially colorblind.
That's a special form of racism.
It's not, it's the exact opposite of racism. Okay, anyway, that doesn't prove that Bajorans and humans can interbreed. Just because he wants grandchildren doesn't mean that he could get them.
Well, he saw her. That would be a weird demand. So he's saying, I don't care who you sleep with, you have to bring me grandchildren.
No, I'm saying that maybe Sisko doesn't know.
Oh, he's assuming?
Yeah, he just says, oh, make some grandchildren.
How hard could it be?
I don't know why you're always trying to weed out what races or species in Star Trek can interbreed. I mean, it's interesting to note, I guess. There's actually a Next Gen episode that specifies, mild spoilers, that all current species in the Milky Way galaxy are descended from one race.
Whoa!
Which makes very little sense, but never mind. That was them trying to explain why they all just look like people with makeup on.
Yeah.
So I think pretty much any two can somehow make children, even though that's not how that works.
It does here, and now my fan fiction can be accurate. I mean, that's not a thing.
I'm sure it's not.
Wait, does that umbrella include shapeshifters? They could breed with others?
No, they can't. I wouldn't think so.
Okay. Need to erase a few things.
Okay. I've got a sneaking suspicion that the alien that told them that was Salome Jens, who plays the female changeling.
So it could be a lie.
Oh, I mean, it's the actress who portrayed the alien. The alien did not look like a shapeshifter. Exactly.
Oh.
Anyway, we're discussing an episode of Star Trek Next Gen now. We've
lost it.
Yeah, when we're talking about fanfics and which two species could interbreed, when we should be talking about the tragic waste of Jake's life after his father's repeated deaths, then I think we can say let's call it a day on this one.
Let's vaporize this one. What? No. Let's end this one.
Yes.